Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody had an amazing day. And today we have a great host, a great guest who I enjoy having great conversations about. Heather Tucker's here. Say hi
Woo!
to everybody. So, today's conversation is going to be, yes. Today's conversation is going to be to me, it's interesting. I hope everybody's excited to hear the topic and the value that they're going to get out of this conversation as well, which is intimacy, right? I think it's one of those things that not everybody, but most people struggle. And to some people, depending on where they're at, for myself, I could say, sometimes we think intimacy equals intercourse.
Yes.
Right. So before we get into the topic, Heather, who are you? Let the people know, for those who have never heard of you, and for those who have heard of you, tell them again who you are.
Hey, man, I'm a bomb ass sex coach.
Oh, there you go. That's all you need to hear.
All I need to say. Yeah, I specialize in working with Christian couples, and I'm sure we'll get into this, as part of my story. But a huge reason why I decided to get into this is because I grew up in the Christian community where sex was really taboo and it was
Mhm.
not allowed to be talked about. And my mom used to say, "Don't worry about it. You'll find out when you get married." That's like all I ever heard. And so when I got married and we started to have our own struggle, we went into 12 years of no sex, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And who you're going to talk to if the church isn't comfortable, and therapists don't really specialize in the sex aspect. So we really felt alone
Wow.
during those 12 years. It was crazy. But after overcoming that, I was like, man, I do not want another person to ever go through what we did, and to feel alone and to feel depressed about it and to feel like they can't do anything except divorce. Because if they're not getting sex, they got to go get it from somewhere else, maybe.
Right.
So I have really like I just feel it in my bones every single day that I have to show up for the people that
Mm-hmm.
need me. And that's why I say yes to all the interviews, because I'm helping to put a voice to the sexless
Right.
experience.
Yeah, and I think that's a very. I mean, I know you kind of you're gonna speak about it eventually, but I know the last time you did mention that, and I was like 12 years. It takes commitment to be with somebody and not have sex or intimacy in 12 years, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Because people that I know, I can't say they're gonna they gonna stay together for the. I'll be honest. So that's what I say. It takes commitment to your marriage, to your relationship, commitment to be like, you know what, this is where we are right now, but we still gonna make it through. We're gonna find a way to make it work.
Hmm.
So kudos to you guys, because both of you guys decided to do this work together.
Yeah. Well,
So
and there was a huge commitment to God
yeah, yeah,
and to trusting in him. So I had
yeah.
to decide every single day that even though the situation wasn't changing,
Mm-hmm.
I knew, and I had to have that depth of knowing that God was going to come through for us. And God never says when the timing of our circumstances are going to change, no matter what
Right.
we're going through. So for me, it was 12 years. For some people, it's only 2 weeks or a month that they have to deal with something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, for us, it was a huge, huge
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, definitely. But before we get into the topic, I do want to say, because I went to Webster, right? The Webster definition of intimacy is a close, familiar, and usually affectionate or loving personal relationship with another person or group. That's Webster definition now. That means it's our definition.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
and they don't mention sex in there. So
exactly, exactly. So how do you define, in your version, how do you define intimacy, and what do you think that entails or should entail? Let's put it like that.
yeah. Well, just the definition from what you said, intimacy for me means I can be myself
Mm-hmm.
without fearing judgment from another person. I can share my dreams. I can share my desires. I can
Mm-hmm.
share what turns me on. I can
Right.
share what fetishes that I have, fantasies. I can share all of the stuff about me and never have to worry about being judged or left behind or rejected. Like that is so huge. And I know for a lot of people, we don't get to experience this because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when we share our innermost thoughts and secrets with the person that we love and we think that they're going to fully accept us, they're like, they have like
Mm-hmm.
back kind of reaction where they don't really know what to do with it or they can't relate, they don't understand. And so then that causes us to feel guilt or shame, which in the future, if we're feeling any kind of thing like that with our partner, I mean, do you think we're going to want to open up and share with them again? I mean, that's going to
Yeah.
be really hard. So that would be my huge definition of what intimacy looks like. And hi, Gail.
Yes, hi Gail. But yeah, I mean, that's not only that, you mentioned rejection, right? And I find that even myself, rejection is one of those things that can really take a blow on your self esteem.
Yeah.
It really can, especially when it's tied to sexuality. I mean, yeah, intimacy, I should say, right? And a lot of us, at least for myself, I have struggled with that, and I have gotten better understanding rejection. And it's not was an intimate level, but just on a professional level, right?
Hmm.
Just a part, just rejection, period.
Yeah.
Was like I took it in like it was something personal, but
Same. I know I've done it too. Rejection has been a huge struggle of mine ever since I was a kid.
yeah, 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 I agree. And it really takes working to understand that things happen for a reason for me,
Hmm.
and also not to take the rejection or the no, I should say, personal, because sometimes things are meant. Sometimes the no's are good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. That nose can be protection.
Yeah, definitely, definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. Okay, so Gail says for me, intimacy is not the physical act of being intimate, but it's more about the emotional, spiritual connection. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now, when
ma'am.
you combine what my definition was and then what Gail has said, when you combine that closeness and that deep sense of trust and that deep sense of knowing another person on a soul level with
Mm-hmm.
sex and there's love involved, oh my god, like those types of experiences are the best
Mm-hmm.
experiences ever, and you have the most amount of pleasure in those times.
Right.
Sometimes you'll feel like an emotional release, you might
Right.
cry, you might laugh, like there's just so much goodness and juiciness on
Yeah.
types of experiences versus if you didn't have that intimate connection, it'd be like a wham bam thank you ma'am. And even in a committed relationship, we can end up feeling used, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Even committed relationships. I have relationships before where I am technically in a relationship, but I felt alone in the relationship, right?
Yeah. Mm.
And for me, I had to learn first intimacy with myself.
Right,
Right. Intimate,
right.
right. That's the first thing I had to learn. Because I always struggle with that, honestly. I struggle with the vulnerability
And
part.
again, this isn't sexual, this is just getting
Yes.
to know who you are as a person. Like, what do you
Right.
like? Even
Right.
like your favorite color. I mean, all of the different things
Hmm.
that make you you.
Yes.
That's a huge part of getting to know yourself.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because as far as not being tied to sex, because it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a sexual thing. It was more understanding myself, what I like and what I didn't like, right? The core of who I am, and really being honest with myself. And I
Hmm.
find that once I was able to do that, it really did allow me to do that with other people. It really allowed me to put that, that facade down, or be more, allow myself to be vulnerable. That's one, because I always struggle with vulnerability. I
Hmm.
I I and listen, I used to keep things in, and I didn't want to talk about it over surface level conversations, nothing deep,
How's the weather?
Yeah, right. Like nothing too personal.
Hmm.
But I realized that it helped me in so many ways, not just in a romantic one, but also before, just platonic friendships with people.
Yeah.
So it really did help me with that, you
Hmm.
know. So let me ask you another question. Can a lack of intimacy be a symptom of underlying relationship issue or a mental health concern? Because some people
It
struggle with.
can be both.
How would you know? How could you like? How can somebody be able to define the difference, right? Whether it's a more of a person maybe not being able to show the intimacy, or with somebody really struggling with a mental health issue.
That takes a lot more digging.
Hmm.
It's not like, it's not surface level. There's no one answer for that,
Right.
because some people struggle with really opening up to their partner because maybe they were abused
Right.
as a child, and so they have huge defenses up. They've got big walls up. They don't trust people in general.
Yeah.
So, like, why are they going to trust a romantic partner if they can't even trust, like, a
No. Yeah.
regular Joe Schmo down the street?
Yeah.
So yeah, it can take a lot of work. I'll just tell you, I'll speak from our thing. For the 12 years, for me, during those 12 years of not having sex, I was the one that wanted sex. My husband didn't. So
Mm.
because I struggle with rejection, and this has been a thing for me over the years, I equaled him saying no to me as that you don't love me anymore. So
Mm.
I took it as, oh, okay, no sex means he doesn't love me anymore. Now, what I learned, which was huge for me, is that he did not intend for it to be that way at all. He just had his own stuff that was happening on the inside of him, whether it was physical or mental or emotional or whatever. So nowadays, like, if there's a week where we don't do it, or even a couple months, sometimes we, go a couple months, I don't take it personally anymore. Now I'm like, okay, this is not about me, because
Hmm.
I know how kick-ass I am. Like,
Right.
I know what I bring to the bedroom. I know.
Right. Right. Right.
And I know it's fucking good. Okay. So
Right.
I know it's not about me. But so in those times, I allow him to do his own thing, whatever he's doing, and to whatever he's doing, wherever he needs to heal from. Maybe he needs an extra nap that day. I don't know. And then
Right.
when he comes back, it's more free flowing, like an ocean. It doesn't feel pressured anymore. Like it used
Right.
to be really pressured. On my end, I was like, why don't you want to have sex with me?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean,
now I'm
yeah.
like, whatever, and I can take care of myself, obviously.
Right.
And I can work on some, like, self love for myself, self care. I can maybe do more of my own fitness stuff, because a lot of times when a woman doesn't get the amount of sex that she needs, her body hormones do take a dip in different areas, testosterone levels and all these different hormone levels. So if you replace the sex with working out and also self pleasure, you won't find that imbalance. You'll still be able to keep yourself, like, even.
Yeah. Keep yourself
So
at
I know
bay.
that was like a roundabout answer,
No. No.
uh,
No. That's fine.
but it really is not, like I said, it's not a one thing fits all. It takes sometimes talk therapy with yourself. So just, talking through things with yourself, or going and seeing a counselor like myself. And because sometimes we don't know, like, sometimes we're in that situation and we don't know why the sex is missing. We're reading a
Yeah.
book, we might go talk to somebody, but they can't figure it out. So sometimes there's, like, some deep stuff that has never been healed, that's
Yeah.
in the way, and it's causing mental blocks, emotional blocks, spiritual block. And sometimes you just don't know until you start working with somebody.
Yeah. That's true. I'm laughing at Gil. I'm laughing at Gail response, but she said, she's a high.
Yes, kick ass in the bedroom is a must. Otherwise, why you be wasting my time?
Right. Why you, why? But let me
And
ask you a question.
some of my friends will say, "Oh, what's the point of having sex with you? I'll just go get my toy and really get what I want."
The toy's gonna do what it's supposed to do. No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But when it comes to rejection, how can somebody, right? How can someone cope with the feeling of rejection or shame from lack of intimacy? Like, how
Well,
can somebody
yeah,
cope
the
with that?
rejection. Okay, so if you're being rejected sexually and you're feeling rejection, the rejection that you're feeling is not from the sex that's missing, that you're being told no. When we're rejected, when we're feeling rejected, it has something to do with not the situation in front of us. It has something to do with something that happened already. And that fear of rejection is coming up, and we're fearing it. Like, we don't like to feel it. It hurts. It reminds us of pain. And so we tend to not even get into relationships sometimes with
Mm-hmm.
another, with the opposite sex, because we're like, God, I don't want to experience that pain again. I don't want to experience rejection. And so we keep
Mhm.
ourselves protected and we think I'll just stay single forever because then it's less chances of getting hurt.
Right.
But really what you're doing in that situation and keeping yourself from another person is you're not allowing God to use you in another relationship the way that he wants. And so if you're
Mhm.
feeling rejected, please figure out a way to heal from that stuff. It's not fun, it's not pretty. It means having to relive some of those situations that you've experienced. But once you do get a little more healed, you don't have to be all the way healed, but a little more healed.
Mhm.
And you can also wrap your mind around emotional intelligence if you've never balanced your emotional intelligence. That's a really key point to tap into, because if you're balanced with your emotional intelligence, if someone says no to you for whatever reason, sexually or other, you're like, oh, this has nothing to do with me, this is where they're at, and it won't affect you anymore. Like, you won't take it in as I am a crappy person.
Right. Right.
It's on them.
I mean, that's good that you mentioned that as far as rejection is concerned,
Mhm.
because I mean, that's one of the things that even I had to kind of understand and had to learn. Like you just mentioned, understanding that's not, first you have to heal, understand that's not a personal thing for me, right? I had to like learn that. And then I think that once I was able to figure that out, like mentally figure that out, um, I didn't take things so much like now I don't take things as personal as I used to,
Yeah, no, that's good.
right?
Hmm.
Because honey, I've been in there like, oh my god, I
Yeah,
cannot
and you're like getting triggered all the
believe
time.
right, internalizing that, all over the place, and it's like I'm a hot mess.
You know what's funny about that? This comes up. I know we're talking about relationships, but even like in business relationships, when someone
Yeah,
hires us, so a lot of times this can come up too if you haven't healed from rejection
yeah,
or,
yeah.
or abandonment. It's like, okay, you might have a client, they pay you the money, right?
Hmm.
And then you're setting up in the appointment to meet with them, and oh my God, they're late. Oh
Yeah,
wait, they don't show up. Oh shit,
yep.
it must be me. So that's like the emotional trigger.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's funny that you mentioned that.
You're like, oh my God, it must be me. She must have changed her mind. She didn't want
Yeah,
to do it. Oh, she's going to be asking for her money back. And it's like we're
yeah,
jumping to all of these things when really, it has something to do with like their kid, or maybe they
yeah.
forgot, like they forgot to put it in their phone.
Oh my god, you must be talking to me because that was me. I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe she didn't
Oh
show
my
up.
God.
What
No.
is going on?
Literally has not Karen, literally has nothing to do with you or anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really had to learn. I mean, tell you now, I more grip, so taking the time to, and therapy help. Not no lie,
Yes.
right?
Therapy is amazing. I
Yeah, it
love
really helped me. Yeah, it really did. It helped me really not to internalize things, especially that, and not to
this.
make, I made a whole story in my head already about it.
We could write some like amazing books
What?
just with the stuff that's in our heads.
Man, listen, you can buy a whole novel, okay?
I know. And sometimes if I'm
So,
really in my feelings over stuff like this, I'll even have dreams about it. And then I'm like dreaming about other people rejecting me. And I'm like, who are those people in my dream? But I wake up feeling rejected. I'm like, oh my God.
like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So, I know you mentioned that you and your husband, how did you guys, build your intimacy outside of experience?
During the
Just
12 years, you mean?
yeah, during those time when y'all two was trying to work on your intimacy and rebuild that part of your relationship again,
Like the sex
right?
part you're talking about.
Yeah, right. I mean, did you guys build on your intimacy first before the actual
Well,
sexual
what's
experience,
pretty cool
or
about Chuck and I, this is one of the huge things that kept us together, is that our love never went away for each other.
okay,
So we felt a huge amount of passion for each other. Our souls were still connected. We still enjoyed being together. Like, we still loved watching TV together. We still love holding
okay,
hands. We would still go on dates. So we're going on dates. We're kissing, not like making out type of kissing, but like pecks or like mouth.
right?
So we still did all that kind of stuff. I still snuggle with him, and connected that way, but there was just not the sexual part.
Okay, so you're still okay. So for
So
okay,
we never lost
right,
the intimacy connection. Like, I could still talk to him, he could still talk to me.
right.
We still trusted each other.
So
Yeah.
okay, so that's definitely important. But for those people that maybe like sometimes relationships go through their own struggles,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes you wondering is a phase or is this a long term thing?
Mhm.
So how do you define whether it's just a phase? 'Cause I know for you guys, it was 12 years, so I could just imagine those people that already say a month in, let's say a year in, right? Like, how do you
Yeah,
know maybe that
it's
person's
funny.
going through something?
Yeah, I joke about this all the time, like especially when I'm speaking on stages at events. I'm like, some of you, can't even go 12 minutes or 12 seconds without sex, and I'm just like
That's
laughing
what I'm saying.
because it's so true. But for us, and for other people out there, like you really have to define what sexless means to you, because sex doesn't always mean just intercourse. Like you can have a really good making out session, and that's still, you're still being held, right? You're still being held, you're being turned on with the mouth kissing
Yeah,
and all that. So that is a form of sex.
right.
uh just having oral sex is sex. Sucking
Mhm.
on people's toes is sex. It just
Mhm.
really depends, right? So as a couple, you have to define, what does sex look like to you, and then what does sexlessness look like, and then when do we consider us in a sexless period? Is it
Right.
2 weeks, a month, 6 months? And before it hits that point, we better
Mhm.
be talking about it, and like what's happening, like why aren't we connecting sexually as often? So all of the stuff, it boils down to communication.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
where couples struggle, is they're not communicating enough about particulars, very specific things.
Mhm.
And then if you're not talking about it, what's going to happen? You're assuming,
Yeah.
you're living in your head,
Yep.
you're making up stories, like Karen just said.
Yep.
Yeah, you're making up the story. He must be out there banging all these other ladies because he's not banging,
Right.
right? So, I mean, that's not always the case.
Right. That's
Sometimes
true.
it is, but it's not always, the case. So, communication is key.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point that you mentioned as far as being able to communicate that, oh, that particular moment with your spouse or with your partner, right? Because I mean, most of us been there, right? Especially for me, communication. When it comes to communication, and that's one of the keys that a lot of relationship fails because they don't sit, like you just mentioned. They don't hit the hard questions,
Yeah,
you
dude, and
know.
you're not even trained to have these kind of conversations.
Yeah, it's like, how do
Why
you
so
bring
many
it
people
up?
freaking
Like, what do
struggle?
you say? Like, yeah, like, what do you say? How do you bring it up? Do you bring it up after dinner? You bring it up before dinner? Do you like
Oh
you
man.
know? It's like you
Just
have
don't
to.
bring it up, and just don't bring it up when you're right in the middle of having sex, because
Hey, like, hey,
that's
why
like
you the house? Well, at least you're doing it today, right? Like, that's good.
that's like an instant turn off.
What?
Oh God. Yeah, it's recommended by me when I work with people, and even like all the studies that I ever did in school, to have these really serious type of conversations around the dinner table when you're fully clothed and everyone's in a good mood. And it's really important to have these conversations before you even get into a committed relationship. Because what if, like,
That's a good point.
what if one partner thinks that having sex once every 3 months is plenty? Like, what if it's like so much to them once every, and then the other person's like, I need it like once every 3 days. Now, what if these two people get together? They're going to be sexually mismatched.
That's
So
a good point.
a lot of frustration in the relationship. So when you're in the dating phase, it's really important to have these conversations before you fully commit, because you don't want to be wasting each other's time. Now, if you are already married and you've never had these conversations, never were
Hmm.
trained in these conversations like I was,
Right.
it doesn't mean that you have to leave the relationship. You can learn to work on compromise. So if
Hmm.
the person that needs it once every 3 days, and then the other person once every 3 months, well, obviously the person once every 3 months is going to have to compromise, because this person needs it a lot. And but the Bible is very specific that the Satan, our enemy, is roaring around
Mhm.
trying to seek who he's going to devour. And Satan wants to attack Christian, especially Christian marriages. And a huge part of where he attacks is the bedroom. So you have to make sure that you don't give him the open door, because if you're not giving your sex spouse and vice versa, spouse sex and vice versa,
Mhm.
uh, and they're still getting turned on and everything, don't be surprised if you catch a porn account, or
Mhm.
they're spending money at the strip club or whatever. Now, it's not to say that it's your fault if they're
Right.
out there doing that, but we do need to take more responsibility on the part that we play for the why, that because we are actually unintentionally pushing them out of the bedroom.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I feel like, I mean, for me, I personally think, I feel like you have to be honest with yourself, right? When it comes to what is your core need in a relationship.
Yeah.
If you know your thing is, I want to have sex, I don't know, 2, 3 times a week, and your partner likes it once a week or once every other month, then
Mm.
that's something that are you willing to go with that, right? Are you
Yeah.
willing, is that
You
okay for
gotta know.
you?
Yeah.
Because if
And
it's
then
not,
if not, like if they're not willing to actually do like the intercourse part and you really need intercourse, then that could be a conversation where, okay, well, hey, like if you're not really in the mood to like, get on top of me or whatever, how do you feel about laying next to me? So
mm-hmm,
we're still the intimacy part. I'm still touching your skin and,
mm-hmm,
excuse me, feeling close to you emotionally, but maybe in that moment I could be using a toy on myself, or like you could
mm-hmm.
be using a toy on me. We could figure out some other ways to connect intimately and sexually so that we don't feel a lack.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's good. And then Gail did make a good, she asked a question. Her question was, Heather, do you find that as people get older, it's not so much the physical act, but more so the touchy feely companionship mind connection stuff. People, yeah. 6 months is a long time, just saying.
You know what? That's a really good question. And
Hmm.
people of all ages still crave sex, the actual
Yeah.
physical sex. Now, as we mature as adults, and we understand that sex is not just a wham bam thank you ma'am, it's a
Hmm.
slower process. It's, I'm taking time with you to open up your flower and
Hmm.
getting you turned on, and I'm giving you more time to get hard and to stay hard, and all
Hmm.
the different things that come up in the physical act. So it might take a little more time, but I do notice for myself, because I'll speak, I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in June. I appreciate, now that I'm older, I appreciate more of the hand holding
Hmm.
and the snuggling, because I don't know if this is an age thing or not, but I love the feeling of safety,
Hmm.
and I feel safe and protected when I'm snuggling with my husband, and that doesn't have anything to do with sex. That's just us, physically touching skin and then
Hmm.
talking, like having like long conversations. And I just think that like when you're younger, you don't really take the time to do that
Hmm.
with people.
Yeah, that's true. No, I agree to that. When you're younger, you don't be holding hands. What did I look? What are we
Yeah.
friends? So that's definitely that is so true. That is so
But
true.
Gail, my mom is over 80 and she still has sex.
It's
And she
funny that you
still,
mentioned
yeah, and
that.
she still has orgasms and stuff. So it's not that that ever goes away. You just might have to work on it a little bit more, because your body does
Yeah,
change, and you have to adapt with your body changing.
yeah. Let me tell you something. I used to be a nurse assistant, right? And I remember doing rounds when I first got into the floor. And I knocked on the door because that's what you're supposed to do. But I guess the people didn't hear me. But when I opened the door, it was a couple, an older couple, and they was
You
doing
go in
the
there with the
big
camera.
thing.
You're like, you're like, you're
I
like,
I
wait,
got
let me
so
turn this into an old people porn.
oh my god! When I tell you, I was so, cause I was younger then. I was like maybe 21. I was so at 21. Everything is so dramatic.
Yes.
So I was so gross at the age. I was so grossed out. Like, oh my god, old people having sex. What is this? So the nurse was like, "You didn't." They was into what they was doing. They didn't hear me knock on the door. So that was a surprise to me, and that's when I learned, oh, people still have sex.
I didn't know either. When I was younger, I never could picture my grandparents having sex. My grandparents are like really strict Baptists also, and they lived in different bedrooms. So I just assumed that they weren't having sex because they lived in different bedrooms. But this one time I had a conversation with my grandma. She's like, "Honey, I have way more sex with your grandpa now that we're in different bedrooms." He's like, I can go to my space, he can go to his space, and then when we want it, we come
Come
together.
back together. Pick a room, whichever room they want. One room today, another room to another time.
Yeah, she said it
Hey.
kind of feels more adventurous that way.
Right. Yeah, of course. So let me ask you this: if how can a sex coach work in conjunction with a healthcare professional to support a client in addressing intimacy and mental health concerns?
Yeah, no,
Um,
they make a good combination.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, a lot of my clients, they're going to regular therapy
Mm-hmm.
and then they also come to sex therapy with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I
So
think it's a good thing.
each therapist has different specialties that they tap
Mm-hmm.
into. For me, what I love about what I do is I don't just focus on the past stuff like a lot of therapists do. I
Mm-hmm.
focus on today and then I give tools for the future. So I want to
Mm.
make sure that people have action steps to do when they go home so that whatever their struggle is, they can get better, at it.
No.
But I love it. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of people in my network and we just refer back and forth all the time. Like, hey,
Yeah.
like I have someone that, oh, for instance, I work with a lot of ladies that have sexual trauma and sexual abuse in their background. So they'll be working with me for those types of things, and then I
Right.
might have to send out for them on some of the rejection, pieces.
Yeah.
And not that I don't or can't handle that, but there's some intense deep stuff that
Mm-hmm.
almost needs like hypnotic type of things to go like inward,
Yeah,
like, hey
definitely.
girl, like here's a
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's good. I mean, like you said, people do have traumas and things that, especially if you've been raped and a victim of sexual abuse.
yeah.
So you definitely do need somebody that help you with just tapping into yourself, right?
Yeah. And even
Knowing what
like
you're
when
sending
people
in
have
yourself.
anxiety attacks or depression,
Hmm.
sometimes that requires a different type of therapy or even medication,
Yeah,
sometimes, which I don't provide. So,
yeah, definitely. And I know you have an ebook that came out, so let's talk about it.
oh my God.
Let's
So many
talk about
people,
it.
yeah, so many people are loving that thing so far.
Let's,
I'm so excited. Yeah.
yes, let's talk about it. Who is it
Yeah.
for? What is it about?
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Okay. So, what's really funny about this is I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, I did a live video and it was my most viewed on LinkedIn. My most viewed video was called uh, Four Things Your Godly Man Wants in Bed. Something like
mhm,
that was the title. A lot of engagement on that. I was like, oh, I'm going to take that video and I'm going to pull the pieces and I'm going to put it
mm,
into an ebook, but not just teach what I taught in that video, but I'm going to expand on it and I'm going to put worksheets in because
mm.
I feel like anybody can create an ebook and you can go and get as much information as you want on how to intimately connect with yourself and your partner. But if you don't have a way to actually put it into practice and to work on it and to take it back to like your actual relationship, uh,
Mhm.
it's probably not going to go anywhere. It's going to go in here and out. So
Yeah, yeah.
I decided this time on because I didn't do this in my other books. I was like, I'm going to put some worksheets and like exercises in there that they can go and like actually this is stuff that I use in my practice with private clients. I decided to pull some of that stuff out and put it into the ebook. So it's crazy fully packed with so much goodness. And I'm already hearing
Mm.
some really good stuff. And it's only $10 right now.
Hey, you better get it before it goes up the price, okay?
Yeah,
You
so
better.
it's not on Amazon or anything yet. At some point, I'm going to put it up there, and then of course the price will go up. But
Yes, of
if you guys
course.
want it, it's a PDF download right now. So you just
Yes.
gotta send me the word. I don't know, just send me like ebook, and
Yes.
I'll
There
get you
you go.
the $10 link, and then you guys can get yourself
There
hooked up.
you go. Send listen. Message Heather with the ebook.
Yes.
Okay, ebook is the word of choice. So you can
It's
get
the
it up
word of the day.
word of the day. Okay, so y'all could go ahead and get this ebook. And you know what's perfect too that you mentioned? That is actual practice, right? So they could actually apply what they're reading. Because part of doing, part of learning is actually application for me. So if you
Mhm.
if you're reading and you're applying, then you're
But
gonna get
Gail
a good.
wants it.
Okay, you boy.
Okay, okay.
Good girl. Okay. Part of learning is applying, guys. This you're gonna get an A score. You're gonna get are you trying to get a house? You better go put you better put it to work. Okay, you try to get your
Oh,
home today,
God.
okay? You better put it to work.
That's funny.
I'm gonna keep it. I ain't gonna get too much because I can get. I feel like you and I get. They're gonna kick us off LinkedIn, Heather. They're gonna kick us off LinkedIn.
Oh man.
Yes, I'm gonna say, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna I know I'm gonna purchase the book anyway. Ain't gonna get specific, but I'm gonna purchase the book.
Yeah, and like listen, you guys, you don't have to be in a relationship right now for
Yes,
like this ebook. I put it together to help singles and people that are already
there you
coupled
go.
up, because when you're single, it helps you to prepare so that when you draw in your person, that you'll be better prepared on how to voice your opinions and desires and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. You'll actually have the actual words. Like, okay, I'll speak to the female right now. As a female, you will have the actual words that men respond to.
That's key because sometimes we don't always, especially the way we sometimes depends on how we grew up.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way we convey things can come off a little aggressive, right, or maybe a
Yes.
little to a man, depending who the man and how the man is structured or who
Yeah.
he is as a man, he might not like the way things are being said. So I think it's important how you say things matter when you're
Yes.
trying to convey what it is that you want.
Yep.
I had to learn that because I used to come up. Listen, I was reckless with my mouth. Okay, I didn't care how things used to come out, and I had to
Were
learn
you
how.
oh, what's that character my husband laughs? Oh, were you Wreck It Ralph?
Yeah, I was wrecking. I didn't listen. I didn't even. Sometimes I had to really learn how to say things.
But
Cause
sometimes we don't know because again, we're not taught.
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
telling y'all, like as a parent, if you're a parent, you got small kittens, please teach them this stuff. Like teach them how to
Yes.
voice, ask questions. I mean, they're going to be better in a relationship if they
Yeah.
understand how to voice stuff, right? Yeah, and Gail says our words matter.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Let me tell you something. My mouth was fire, ready to spit out everything. And I had a lot of rage too for a lot of things that happened in my past. So I was just
Mhm.
enraged with a lot of things. So
I get it, and you were probably speaking from that place.
what?
Hmm.
Listen, this new Karen is a wonderful space I'm in because that old few years ago Karen,
Well, you know
honey,
what?
I didn't like that
I
girl.
still love that old Karen because she's a little gangster, and I like the little gangster.
I'll tell you. So I came along. I am proud of myself. I came a long way. I can honestly feel the change of things that I have worked on. Took the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not 100% all the perfect there, but I'm better than what I was before.
Of course, that's all we can ask of
Yeah,
ourselves.
because sometimes I have to kind of think before I speak. That's one thing that really had to kind of be mindful in that, right? Before you say something, think about it. Because
Hmm.
honey, I ain't thinking. I would just spin things out.
I know we can't take
You
words
know.
back.
Yeah, we can. And then once you say something, it
No,
can
people
really hurt people's
remember. I
feeling.
remember. I remember
Yeah,
stuff
me
that
too.
were like Mean Girls said to me at a very young age. I can still, excuse me, still remember.
Yeah, yeah, it hurts. Yeah,
Mhm.
words. I would never say something to hurt somebody's feelings, like intentionally. But if somebody said something to me that I was very offended quick, like the little things would get me,
Yeah.
But as long as I was left alone, I was good. But if you
Mm.
say something out of line or something that I felt offended, because a lot of things offended me at the time, you
Yeah.
know.
No, I get it, and that that can play a huge disconnect on the intimacy that you feel with your partner.
Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely, definitely. So words matter, guys. Take it from me. So the way you say things at the time and the time that you say it, right, doing when you say it also matters, especially if you're trying to based on if you're trying to have a certain discussion with your partner or with the person that you're with, um, when you say it also matters.
Yeah.
Don't say it just right before they get up in the morning, right?
Hmm.
Things like that. Because that used to be me, huh? I used to be, what? Tell me.
Yeah, that was me. Like when Chuck would come through, when right after Chuck would get home from work, I'm like, wait, and as soon as he walks through the door, jumps down the throat. Are we having sex today? He's like, oh my god, girl! Like I just freaking got home. Get the hell away from me, jeez.
He was like, get away from me, right?
Compress.
No, so Gail said this is Karen's still a bit. No, Gail, a little bit, a little bit. Listen, a little bit. Not as bad anymore. Just a little tiny bit there, But thanks God, I gotten better. Prayer definitely works, and therapy.
Yes. Hmm. Prayer and
Prayer and
therapy. I
therapy.
love that.
Yeah. So, in closing, can you give people 3 practical tips to get them started in building intimacy, whether in a relationship or whether with themselves?
Yes. Okay. Ready?
Yep. Ready.
Are y'all ready? Okay, say ready in the little chat thingy.
Say ready, guys. Say ready.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so my very first tip is to spend more time with yourself.
Mhm.
Have to.
Yes.
And I'm not talking like 2 minutes with yourself. Like you okay. You have to spend time, like I mean 30 minutes, an hour
Mhm.
every single day digging into what makes you tick.
Mhm.
And you can ask questions, you can journal, about it. That's what I like to do. So I get up in the morning, I put a lot of action into myself every day. I get my journal out. I'm journaling the dreams I had. And,
Mhm.
then I'm asking myself, I wonder what caused me to have that dream, because sometimes our dreams speak to us
Yes.
on the parts of us that need to get healed, or God's trying to show us our next step that we need to do in that day or something.
Mhm.
So I like to do that kind of stuff. So that's a way you can get to know yourself, is like analyze your own dreams, spend some time, asking God, like, what do you want me to do today? And stand in front of the mirror. Oh, this would be the second thing. So the second thing would be standing in front of the mirror and speaking affirmations
Mm.
over yourself. Because, we're not born with like feeling 100% about ourselves every day. And most of us have been through like a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So we do need that positive reinforcement. And we shouldn't be waiting for our partner or somebody else to give it to us.
Mhm.
Give it to ourself, because that's too much pressure to put on someone else to expect them to fill up the empty spaces in our heart and in our soul. So we have to do a lot of this work ourselves. And then the third thing is, once you know who you are, you fully have owned it. So now you're standing in your full power in it. It's like, ooh, you're in your power center, which
Mhm.
is like right here. So you're speaking that now out loud. So you have a voice, you put a voice to it. You no longer let anybody run you over.
Yes.
No one's taking advantage of you anymore. You don't let certain things happen. You don't allow a person to speak over you a certain way, because you're like, no, like I don't accept that.
Mhm.
That's not a very loving way to say certain things like that. So now you're voicing it with another person, and that could be a romantic partner, or it could be a
Mhm.
boss, it could be a child, even, because sometimes our kids are assholes to us.
Mhm.
They just are, especially in the teenage
Mhm.
years. They're really like getting their own independence, so sometimes they take that out on their parents.
Yeah.
So it really does all go together.
Yeah, that's true. Those are 3 great, especially practical. They could definitely start that tomorrow. Well, tonight, actually, not even tomorrow.
Right.
They could start
And
that
then you can
tomorrow.
journal before you go to bed.
Yes.
Write down how your day
Yep.
was, all your like wins,
Yep.
stuff you gotta like still work on.
Yep. That's definitely something you can start tonight. Right away, implement that. Those are definitely 3 practicals. Start them tonight. Tonight.
Love it.
Yes.
Now you gotta go do it.
Yes.
Do
Now you gotta go do it, and you gotta go buy the ebook. Ding, ding,
it.
ding. Okay. So, in closing, any last words before we close for tonight, Heather?
Karen, I'm just so happy to be with you. And I'm so happy that
Ah,
Gail was
thank
able
you.
to.
Yes,
I
thank you,
mean,
girl.
I do miss I miss your face, Gail, because last time she was like right there.
Yeah,
So yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for watching and engaging. This has been an incredible time together, and I'm super super pumped for whenever we come on another live in the future.
yeah,
I'm sure we'll keep having these lives because this
yes.
is an important topic. It really
It
really is.
is. It is. I
Professional
mean,
community and personal community.
yeah, I agree. I want to say thank you to you for accepting my invite to be a guest, and this really the reason why I wanted to have this conversation because there was this TikTok that came across my feed.
Mm.
This young lady stating how she haven't had intimacy or haven't hugged anybody in 2 years. She said,
Ooh,
and she
that's
said
not,
that really be messing with her
yes,
mentally. You
yes,
know, and then I was like, wow. And that's really that's what prompted me this conversation. It's like
huh.
people really underestimate the importance of intimacy,
Touch,
right?
any kind
Yeah,
of touch,
touch, exactly. And it's not even it's not even in a sexual scale. And a lot of times a lot of us tell ourselves these stories that we don't need someone because of our past experiences. Or
right,
I don't need nobody. I'm good. I don't need a man. I don't need this. I don't need that. But a lot of it's because things that we tell ourselves because of what we've been through.
mm-hmm.
Not for me, honey. I ain't gonna lie.
Wow, that sounds like a very lonely place that
Yeah.
is in. And I know like this
Yeah.
month is mental health awareness month,
Hmm.
and my two older boys have a friend, and he just committed suicide a couple of days
Oh
ago.
my God.
Yeah, they're going through a lot. My two older boys.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's crazy, and no one like knew. Like he seemed so happy on the outside,
I'm telling
and
you.
he went to a different state to do it. So he didn't want to be around his daughter or his wife or my son.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like God. So I really feel like we need more of these kind of conversations, and we need to normalize the taboo
Yes.
around mental health and
Yes.
loneliness and
Yeah.
suicide and all of these different things, because this is like real shit. This is like,
Yeah.
you know, life
Yeah.
is like really, really hard. And if
Yeah.
you don't have a friend, you know, at least someone in the medical realm, hopefully they'll be able to help if you reach out, to them. But it's hard when you don't know. Like you
Yeah.
always think that there's going to be a sign, like
Hmm.
you know what I mean, like a sign, so then you can like go and help them. There was no sign, so that to me is like, wow, how do you figure that kind of stuff out? to
Yeah, that's hard.
But I think that that's why it's so important that every story and life struggle that you, me, Gail, any one of us has ever been through, that's why it's so important, in my opinion, to vocalize stuff, because that will normalize it for somebody else, so that they won't feel alone in their struggle and think that the only way out is the way out, to leave.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially, speaking your truth, speaking your story, because you can help somebody. I heard stories from different people, and they are motivating, right? Help me in many different ways. So I agree. Telling your story, speaking your truth is very important.
Yeah, very important.
I'm sorry for your son, friend.
Thank you. Thank you very
And
much.
for the family too.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
So everybody have a good night. Thank you
Thank
for
you, Karen.
watching and take care. Don't leave, Heather.
Okay, I will.
Don't look out. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.